My name is Jensen. Let's learn some UiPath. Today we will see how we can read data from an Excel sheet or a CSV, how we can use that data to make a REST API call, how we can extract the data we got from that call to a JSON, and finally write the data into the Excel in the corresponding cells. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. That will help me a lot. So today's task is that we got an Excel sheet with 20 cities, and we want to write in today's temperature, sky, humidity, and wind. And we can use this. That's a Danish site, but we'll use this. And we can look up London. We'll get the temperature, the sky, the humidity, and the wind. So we can make a robot that loops through all these cities and write it in, and we get our element here. However, it will be quite a mess because first of all, it will take a long time, and maybe more important, it's quite unrobust to errors. So we can likely, if the robot is performing a lot of manual actions, we can have in the interface, we can have a big chance of failures. So then we will introduce the API call, which we haven't talked about before at all, but it's basically that we will get the data just bit below the interface. So here the robot, we usually saw the robot that works in the interface typing in maybe Berlin here and then clicking and all that. But however, we can send a call that gets the data. So let's see how that is done. We will be using this site because it allows for API calls. And a lot of sites do that. For example, Google Finance, Yahoo Finance, and European Union got a great site for data as well. So we'll go down here to David got a documentation for the API. And we can see that this is in Danish, but I'll tell you that we can have a link here, and then we'll get the JSON output here. So if you follow the link, that's the link we will use. Then we'll get some weather. This one is for Roskilde, that's a Danish site, but we can change this to maybe London. Like this, and then we'll get the weather in London. That's quite clever. So let's go to UiPath and see the solution. Here we got a UiPath, and first we need to manage packages up here. And we need to be sure that you got a UiPath.web package. You can search for that. Web. So if you haven't installed this, if it didn't say uninstall, if it says install, please install it and click save. That's it. Then first we need to get the data from the site, and we will do that with an HTTP request that's part of the UiPath web package. So drag it in. Now we need an URL here in the endpoint, and what we'll do here is that we'll just copy this guy, and then we'll go to here, paste it in the endpoint, and click OK. We will need to have an output because this will be a JSON string, and so in the output, which will be here, output result, Control K, str, we can call it JSON maybe. Sorry, that was JSON, like this. And now we can deserialize it, which just means that we'll convert it from the string that it is up here, str JSON, to an object which we can work with. So pretty much we're just deserializing it here, which means that we will convert it to data that we can use. So deserialize JSON, drag it in this guy. We need an input and an output. We can write it in here, the input, or up here. The input, that will just be the string that we created up here. So control space, the str.json, and then we will create the output here. So Control K, we'll call this JSON Object maybe, like this. And now we can work with the data. So we'll just use a write line in the beginning here. Drag in a write line. And what we can do here is that we can, if we just want to get like all the current data out, that's everything is here, like the temperature, sky text, humidity, wind text and that, then we will just use a write line, and we will refer to the object as JSON object, then the parentheses, and then current data, because that was the top there in, let me show you here. So let me open the expression editor up here, and then we will convert it to a string like this. That will work, and click OK. Now we will write. So what we do here is that we get the weather data for London as a JSON string. We'll convert it to a JSON object, and then we'll write out the data that we got. UiPath will run, and then we can go to output, and we can see that we have been written it out. However, say that we want these to be not to be a part of a entire file. We need to separate them. So we need the temperature out, we need the sky text out, we need the humidity out, and the wind text. What we'll do here is that we introduce the SelectToken. That's a method to acquire LINQ to JSON. It will make it a lot easier because then we can only write a single string instead of more. So what we'll do here is that let us go to expression editor. We will after this JSON object, we will type in dot and then SelectToken like this, and then here after current data, say that we want to choose what we want here. Maybe we want the temperature. Well, that's hard to spell, so just take humidity. That's easier for me. But you can take temperature, of course. There was just bad humor. Humidity, like this. This one will write out the humidity still for London. We will go down to output, and that's 71. That's just a value. So what this is doing is that now we can get the data out. We can separate it, and from now it's just not an easy process, but a kind of easy process to have written it into Excel. Let's see how we do that. First, we need to read the data from this Excel sheet, saved it in a folder on the desktop called REST API call, and we'll use a read range. Just take the workbook down here. Read range, then we need to supply it with a path. So go to the folder, shift right click, copy as path. You can also click the three dots here, and we'll paste it in. We will read the data from sheet 1. That's fine, I think. Yeah, sheet 1. And then delete this because we'll have the entire range. Then we will output it to a data table. So Control K, DT weather maybe, like this. And what we'll do here is that I rarely dare to write anything in, override this, because I love data and I hate to override things. Say that we made an error and we want to go back, then we suddenly couldn't. So let us leave this and then write a new one. So I'll just copy a read range here, then we will paste it in here. And what we'll do here is that we will read still the same Excel sheet, but we will just output it to a different data table. So delete it and then Control K. We could call this DT result, like this. Now what we need here is that we need a for each row to iterate through all these cities here. And so let's find a for each row like this. I think what we'll do here is that we'll just clear this DT output because we want nothing to in it. We want to add the data which we find down here. So let's just clear it. Sorry about that. Clear it, and then that'll be the DT result. There's a lot of ways to solve this problem, but this might be the easiest one, I think. So now we can iterate through each row in the corresponding data table to this Excel sheet. So what we do here is that we'll refer to the DT weather, delete this body, and then we can iterate through all of the cities. And what we'll do here is that we will drag this HTTP request, because we want to have a HTTP request for all the cities. And instead of just using this London selector, which we can't use too much, then edit it, click up here, and what we'll do here is that we will first we will create a dynamic selector from this to this city. So let's just quotation marks and then space plus. And what we'll do here is that we will take the row item of the city. You can also type in 0 because it's the first column of the Excel sheet, and into string. I'll explain this in a second, and then plus, and then we will delete this city here, quotation marks again, and then we're done. So, the reason I do it over here is that, yeah, it's a little bit hard to see, but let me explain what I did. I replaced the London with this row item, city to string. What this does, it takes the current row, and then it will read whatever is in the city column and print it out. And that's exactly what we wanted. So that's fine. Click OK here. Oh, we did already. Then we can deserialize it. That's okay. Sorry, we'll drag this up. Why can't we drag this up? Like this. And then instead of a right line, we want to assign some values. We want to get, here we got the humidity out, but we want to get the temperature, the sky, the humidity, and the wind. So we will, let's go here. We will drag in a multiple assign. If you haven't got the multiple assign, then just use like several assigns. That's okay. So here, and first I think we will just create the variables that we will need. Let me get the Excel sheet up again, because then we can just pretty much just create them. So we want the temperature, so str temperature, like this, temperature, yeah. And then we want the str sky. Then we want str humidity, and then we want the str wind. We could, of course, we could declare them down here, but I think we will just do them up here. So now we can assign, so we can say that the str temperature. And we can just use the same format down here, no reason to manually do work if we can do it here, but we need to change the humidity to temperature. Temperature. Spelling is not my biggest strength. So, and then we will have the str sky. Again, paste it in. And this one is a little bit different because this one was named sky text. Remember to write it as it is in the JSON here. So but we'll find out if we mistype. So sky text like this. Then we'll add the humidity. Actually, we got it. Sorry. So str humidity, and we can just paste it in here because we already found this one. And then finally we need the wind. So str wind, and then so the str wind, that will be this guy, and then we'll change this to wind text. So sorry, it's here, wind text, like this. So now we assign these variables, then we can just add a data row to our result data table. So let's take the add data row, drag this guy in here. Then we will specify the array up here. So let us open this. So we'll use curly brackets, and first we need to have the city because that's the first column, and what that is just a row, then the item city to string like this. The next one will be the str temperature, and I don't know, intelligence worked here. Sorry, I thought it didn't work up here, but it's that it adds a dot. I'm not sure why. If you know why, please let me know in the comment. And this one will be the str humidity. Again, this dot here, humidity, and then the str wind. No, it's not there. So str wind, like this. This one should do. And now it says that valid, that we need a value for the data table. That will be the DT result. That's it. Now let's delete this right line. So let's go through the flow and see that it works. We read a range here. We read this data. We need read another one more and delete whatever in it. We only keep the headers. Then we will take for each row here. We will take the cities in, and we will make the API call. Then we will deserialize the JSON. Then we will get the values that we want, and then we will add a data row into this empty data table with only the headers, and then we can write it out. So let's write out. We could either write an Excel sheet, or let's do a CSV. We'll just take the workbook write range down here, and the workbook path let us just write out to sheet 2. That's fine. Or we can write out to an entirely new. So shift right click, copy as path, workbook path. And you could of course write into the sheet 1. However, I don't dare to delete data. So yeah, that's why I don't like that. So DT resolve, delete this, and then close this. And we can add the headers of course here. And then we will close this Excel sheet down. We will run our UiPath workflow, and this one takes a little bit longer, and sometimes this HTTP call can, now it's done. You can see this is much faster than have the robot typing in it manually. We can inspect the data, go to weather. You can see that our sheet 1, that's okay. We created a sheet 2, and we got all the data in here. That was quite fast, and it's precise. So that's it. If you enjoyed what you see, please give it a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to the channel. I'll be making much more videos about UiPath and RPA. So that's it for today. Have a good one. Bye bye.